Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another week of 2 Point Conversion. We're back for the spring semester after a little hiatus. I'm John, my co-host Nico. I'm excited to break down the conference championship weekend. The very exciting games we had. We're gonna go over some Pro Bowl talk too, and just a little bit more too. We have in the tank. We'll see how it goes. But it's good to be back. Hopefully, we can get some viewers for this week's episode, and we'll just see where it goes.
Isn't
It's
it
good to be
crazy?
back.
Like if you take back the last time we talked to right now,
Yeah, dude,
two
the
different
Giants were still
scenarios.
playing football. And,
Well, Giants were in like week 15.
yeah, dude,
It was like week
it's completely
15, week
different.
16.
Sorry, we were a little rushed in today.
We made the playoffs. Exciting run. Beat the Vikings. Lost to the Eagles bad. 31 points.
Overall,
and now
though,
we're here.
if you want to get started with some Giants talk, Nico, we can do that real quick. We'll just run it down. I'm pretty pleased with the way this season went. We weren't expected to make it that far. We were projected to finish last in the NFC East again. Dable, what a coach, man! I think he's a finalist for Coach of the Year. I think he should win the
won
award.
the what was it, the 101 awards, Coach of the Year, which is like that Kansas City award thing that
Okay.
a lot of the NFL looks at. Like,
Okay.
but it's the second ranking behind the NFL awards.
Gotcha.
So he won Coach of the Year for that, which apparently is a huge award to win.
And I mean, if you really break it down, if you go beyond record, I mean, his coaching in situational football was phenomenal this year. And it started really, Nico, with that 2-point conversion
Nice.
against
Yeah, that's a good one.
Tennessee, the first game of the season. They
Yeah,
could have
just to
kicked the
win
extra point to tie it. They went for 2. Saquon put it in. They win that game. And I feel like that really set the tone for this whole year.
I feel like a lot of that play was huge, like a big amount of luck. Because like if you think about it, it was a shuffle pass to Saquon.
Yeah, he broke a tackle.
He broke
was
2 tackles
behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I mean he was 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage, broke 2 tackles, able to get in. I feel like that's just where we got our momentum from.
No, and I really can't say enough about how much I enjoy watching Dable coach. I think his situational football is great. I was like a little nervous before the start of the year when he said he wasn't going to be calling plays, but Mike Kafka, as the offensive coordinator, did a great job. I think it allowed Dable to get involved with both the offense, the defense, what he wanted to see from the offensive line. He was all over the place during games. Really liked what I saw from him this year. And then Joe Shane running things from an organizational standpoint, that Isaiah Hodgins pick up off of waivers.
Huge.
He had a great impact for us this year after we got rid of Kadarius Toney. So I really like what these two are doing. I'm excited to see how it goes.
And that's a pickup that can last for like the next 2 seasons. Like
a lot of question marks this free agency.
Obviously he's not a free agent this year. We have him for one more season, and we're not paying him a ton of money at all, like below $1 million, I'm pretty sure. But he's a player that you could use as a wide receiver 3. If you improve your wide receiver room in the offseason, then you can use him next season.
Let me ask you, and then we'll move on to the conference championship thing, but I'm just curious what you have to say about this. Giants offseason, what position or what contract, what is priority number 1 for Joe Shane and Brian Dable? What is priority number 1?
I think everyone's going to say wide receiver, but I don't think it is wide receiver. I think you lock, obviously, I'm very certain.
Priority number 1, pick if you had to pick one.
Priority number 1, like what?
Is it going after
Are you saying improving a position or
I'm saying it could be re-signing Danny, re-signing Saquon, or
both of those.
Both of those?
Yeah, I mean, those are both. But after that, you got to get a linebacker. Forget about wide receiver. We were able to, wide receiver you could always deal with. And I don't think that's why we lost. I think why we lost is we got exposed defensively.
Exactly. I agree 100%.
And Jalen Smith is one of, if not the worst middle linebackers in the league.
Could not agree more.
And he can't drop back in coverage. He can't make tackles. He misses I think we need a linebacker, either draft or
that Philly
sign
game.
One.
They had the skill players and the talent to expose our weaknesses, and the run game for them was working. They were able to run the clock, control possession. So linebacker priority, high priority.
Yeah, I think linebackers. When your team has a bad rush defense, like we have a very good pass, we had a very good pass rush, but when they're rushing the ball, there's no defense behind it. We were very low in league rankings, and I think that is a resemblance about how your linebacker plays, because how your linebacker is able to pick up the run is what makes it a good run defense or not.
100%, I agree. All right, want to move on to this championship weekend games?
Yeah.
All right, so starting off,
one of them was exciting.
Starting off, the Eagles beat the 49ers 31-7. Eagles controlled this game. Some crazy injuries for the 49ers. Immediate reactions, Nico. What did you think of the game? Any concern, questions?
I hate the Eagles.
They're not a likable team.
No. I think, and I'm not even saying this obviously because I'm a New York fan, but I'm not saying this because of that. I'm saying it because like Nick Sirianni is one of the most unlikable people in the world. Like that video where he's just shaking his head and just like looking at the camera. Like I think Barstool tweeted out, it's like his family doesn't even like him. Like he's just one of those people that like people hate. And I really think that they're a great team.
Great team. Very
all around team. Their defense. And I have a little jealousy because we did drop James Bradbury and he's a huge part of their secondary.
Great year. He had a phenomenal year.
But they're beatable. And people are saying they've had the easiest road to a Super Bowl probably ever. The Giants, we weren't really ready for making a run.
We were overmatched in that game.
100% overmatched.
Every area.
And playing a great 49ers team that is on their fourth string after the first tackle of the game, basically. And that team, they couldn't throw the ball. Like the reason a run game works so well is your ability to also throw a ball sometimes, and they didn't. Brock Purdy, before getting injured, had four throws.
Yeah, Josh Johnson didn't look comfortable back there.
I mean, you got a veteran player who's been on 15 different teams in like 12 seasons is kind of,
do you know what it frustrates me about this Philly team? There's just really no glaring weakness. There's no weakness in this team. It's how do you beat this team? Where do you target the matchups and everything? I mean, they have two phenomenal receivers in AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, a running game, an offensive line that wins every battle at the line of scrimmage. That Jalen Hurts rushing touchdown yesterday was like the slowest touchdown I've ever seen.
Yeah,
and the offensive line just slowly pushing their way forward.
I mean, Jason Kelce is one of the best.
Lane Johnson, some
Jason Kelce is the best center in the league. I've never seen anyone like
he gives me vibes. Do you remember the great Jet center Nick Mangold? The long blonde hair.
Yeah, I think
he's more than just a blocker. He knows how defenses run.
It's technical.
Do you see him making adjustments at the line of scrimmage, letting his guys know what's about to happen?
Yeah.
He's been around the league for so long. He knows what's coming. So just an aspect that doesn't show up in the stats, but just his intelligence, his ability to lead that offensive line, it's so underrated, and they're a very tough group. I mean, they win. The 49ers have that insane defensive line. I mean, Bosa, Armstead, Fred Warner at linebacker.
When you look at it, I saw Chris Bosa got hurt kind of at the end of the first quarter off that punt return. Like he was coming onto the field and got hurt. He wasn't
on the field. He was on the sideline.
It didn't look like he got hurt. He didn't play like he was hurt, but I feel like that probably had something to do with it as well. But that offensive line is great, and they're not afraid to run the ball. Like against us, they ran
the clock down. They ran it with Sanders, Gainwell, Boston Scott again.
Yeah, even in this game, I mean, they didn't even have that many rushing yards. I think they had around 150 rushing yards and 4 players, including Jalen Hurts. And it's just like,
the stats really don't jump off this one. I like the ones you included here, but none of the stats they don't really jump off.
Well, they just played a good game. It wasn't a flashy game. It was just a good game. Like it's hard for a defense like the 49ers defense are the best in the league. It's hard to defend so much, even the best, when you're on the field so often. Mm-hmm. They're on the field. I mean, I think at the end of the third quarter, they had 30 minutes. The Eagles had 30 minutes of offensive possession. Like that's a quarter. That's a 2/3 of the game.
Yeah, no, very impressive showing from the Eagles
at the time, at least.
This Super Bowl is gonna be good. We're not gonna cover the Super Bowl this week. I think we're gonna save that for next week.
We'll do it next Monday because we have Pro Bowl coming up.
We have a Pro Bowl coming up, but also I feel like it'll really give us some time to get adjusted, get back into the rhythm of this, and we could do a whole hour dedicated to the Super Bowl and all that stuff. But I have a couple notes I wanted to say just in general about the Eagles. Jalen Hurts, right? As much as I'm not a fan of the Eagles, I have to give credit to Jalen Hurts. Second round quarterback. I wrote a lot of good stats and some numbers here for you, Dan, before you give me your take. So he was the second round pick in 2020. Philly took a shot on him, right? He was taken after Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Tua, and Jordan Love. Those were all quarterbacks picked before him in that draft. Okay? And he's the last guy standing from that draft class in this year's playoffs. He made a huge leap forward this year, improving in every category, leading his team to the number 1 seed in the AFC and the Super Bowl. With that said, Nico, there has to be credit given to around him. The Eagles improved his wide receivers. Yeah. They improved the offensive line. But, I mean, this guy now went from well, we'll see how it goes. Maybe replace him, maybe not. So he was an MVP candidate. And he's a young guy to come in there, lead this team with a lot of veterans, a lot of players with playoff experience. They still have a couple guys left on that roster from the Super Bowl when they beat Tom Brady. To come in, be a young guy, take control, lead this team. And that's not even touching on what happened to Jalen Hurts in college. He was benched in college.
Yeah.
Had to transfer schools.
For the person who got picked in front of him, too.
Yeah.
Who's also having a rough.
So as much as I'm not an Eagles fan, I do love a good underdog story. Jalen Hurts is a hard worker. He's humbled. He doesn't come out on Twitter talking a lot of smack.
That's what I was just going
to say. Work. And that, as much as I hate Philly, as much as I'm a Giants fan, and it stinks to see them beat up on us, I have to give credit where credit is due. Jalen Hurts had a phenomenal year. I'm excited to see what he'll do against Mahomes. We'll see how that goes. But I just wanted to touch upon that. Jalen Hurts improved in every single category this year, pushed his name into an MVP candidacy. You're not as big a fan as I am.
It's not that I'm a big fan. I'm like you said, I do respect him. He's not very cocky, which most Eagles are.
Yes.
Aside from like Jason Kelce, who really isn't. But I think that he's not a cocky player. I think he plays well. I like him. I do enjoy him playing, and I like his personality. The one thing is that we have a tendency as viewers of the league to always blow up someone because their team around them is doing well, and he's playing well, but he also has some of the best players in the league. I mean, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, and tight end, even though he's coming off an injury. Miles Sanders in the backfield, Kenneth Gainwell, and Boston Scott. Like, he has a dynamic team around
100%.
him. Offensive line is disgusting. Secondary on the defense is gross.
So good.
Fletcher Cox, like the whole line.
There's not a weak sacks. I think they set a record actually. It was crazy.
80 sacks or 70 sacks.
70 something. Oh my goodness, it's insane.
But I think it's a great team around him. He's doing great in the system that he's in right now, and I'm not saying he's a system quarterback because he does have that RPO option. I'm not sold just because of like the eye test. Like, I feel like when he's playing, he makes some great throws, but something about him, like whenever I saw it even in the 49ers game. I understand 49ers are a great defense, but some of these throws kind of to the corners, to the sidelines, they're always a little too far ahead out of bounds or short. I feel like he's not able to drop it inside someone's arms like that, because all the plays you kind of see are these real deep bomb throws to AJ Brown, who gets 15 yards of clearance on his corner and away from the safety. But I don't know. I don't think he has the same type of throw power a Joe Burrow does, a Patrick Mahomes does. I don't think he's comparable to those two.
His completion percentage isn't there yet, but it's getting better. He was like a guy, he was never known for his accuracy, but he made up for that with his run ability. He improved on the accuracy this year while maintaining the run ability. So that's, I think, what put him over the top for me.
And I think
we'll see how it goes.
Like you said, if you look at that draft class, like Burrow obviously should have been taken over him. That makes a lot of sense. I think Justin Herbert's kind of been
disappointing. I think
disappointing because I think it's a product of what's around him. I think coaching has a real big problem in San Diego, and that team's not great. And they still make the playoffs somehow, and they're not that great.
You know what's funny? You bring up the Chargers. Both the
not
Chargers.
San Diego. I meant Los Angeles.
LA. I know. I still call them San Diego sometimes too. Both the Chargers and both the Eagles made a bunch of huge free agent signings this offseason. You had the Chargers get Khalil Mack in a trade, bring in J.C. Jackson, cornerback from the Patriots. And then you had the Eagles bring in guys like Hassan Reddick, Gardner Johnson from the Saints. But you know what's funny, Nico? All those signings, all those risks worked out for the Eagles. And then on the Chargers side, injuries.
I mean,
down seasons. So, I mean, I just give credit to the Eagles front office.
Like he is a good team. I think it's a product of coaching.
Okay.
Because you could see Justin Herbert make those throws, and he is electric most of the time.
I believe top 5, or he might have been number 2 this year in the league in passing yards.
Yeah, I mean,
he can move the ball.
And,
it's just,
and they have Mike Williams, they have Keenan Allen, they have
Eckler.
They have Eckler, and I think it's a product of coaching, which is the reason. I would say, I wouldn't say he's better than Jalen Hurts just because of what happened this year, but like again in that the only person out of that draft class that I could definitely say isn't better than Jalen Hurts is Jordan Love, because we haven't seen him.
We haven't seen Jordan Love.
But that one game he played it in that one game he played in Green Bay, Jordan Love got some zip on the ball. Like he's got some zip.
I think I might put Jalen Hurts, or it might just from, we're talking 3-year career so far. It might be Burrow for me because he has the Super Bowl appearance and an AFC championship this year.
Yeah, Burrow's 100.
I think he was the number 1. Dude, number 2 could be debatable between Herbert and Hurts. I know
I would say Tua and Hurts. I don't want people looking at Tua like.
I think Hurts is better than Tua.
Tua as a player, I think he's so good and he's been so good, and we've seen that. But
now you're a Tua fan. I feel like last semester.
No, I'm not. I'm not a Tua fan. I've kind of shifted my thoughts because I feel so bad in what happened. Like
he had a tough go.
Tough go with concussions this year, and I don't even know if he's going to play the same ever again. But as of right now, I think that Jalen Hurts is probably the second person out of that draft class.
Phenomenal. A second-round quarterback. You know what's crazy that you're making me think of all this stuff? It's kind of crazy.
Wait for Jordan Love, because next season, if Aaron Rodgers goes somewhere else, Jordan Love got some zip on the ball.
Yeah,
like he throws the ball powerful.
You know what's kind of crazy about the NFL? That's like this kind of new strategy. I think what the Eagles did. You get a quarterback, even if he's not a Pro Bowl. I mean, Jalen Hurts exceeded expectations this year. He really played amazing. But you get a quarterback on a rookie deal who gets the job done. Doesn't need to be a Pro Bowl or whatever. A quarterback on a rookie deal that gets the job done, and then you spend money other positions. Because quarterbacks are expensive.
I do think that the Eagles are going to have a hard time in the next couple of seasons, maybe 2 seasons
salary
from
cap
now.
Issues.
Salary cap issues.
It catches up to you. It catches up to you. We saw it happen with the Rams this year. Well, caught up to them so quick.
See, the one thing that I don't think the Eagles are doing, I don't think the Eagles sold out. I don't think they sold out just to get every good player that they could think of. You know, you got to think about it.
They kept their draft picks. They have a draft pick this year.
They have number 10 draft pick this year,
and they're in the Super Bowl. That's crazy. Howie Roseman, that guy running things there.
Yeah, I feel like
he is phenomenal, man.
That front office has done a great job, and that coach, the coaching has done a great job also. The team is very well coached and very well played.
Yeah,
you could see it on that first play, like kind of that first drive of the Niners game. That ball that was caught by Devontae Smith with the one hand, it was dropped.
Yes,
but they knew, get to the line. Let's get this ball out.
You know what? And you know what you touched on before. You said Jalen Hurts was humble, and I wanted to add on to that and say the whole team kind of plays humbled because a superstar wide receiver there maybe gets up, points for the first down.
I wouldn't say that.
Devontae Smith, he was saying, "Guys, let's go! Like, let's get a playoff." I don't know if that's the right word is humbled, but they play smart.
Well, 100% they play smart.
They don't play like anything is. They don't play. How am I going to formulate this? They don't take anything for granted.
Yeah. I think that
I know some receivers, Nico, who would have caught that ball or maybe and then pointing for the first down, taunting, celebrating. Devontae, got the first down.
He did
said, guys, we got to run a play.
Let's run a play right now. And Kyle Shanahan couldn't pick up.
And that was probably an incomplete pass.
It wasn't incomplete. I saw the thing.
I understand Shanahan's hesitation there. It's the first quarter, first drive of the game. You don't want to use your challenge. But, dude, that could have really changed the course of the game. That was a 4th down.
I think they're a very smart team. I wouldn't say humble.
Okay, yeah, maybe humble wasn't the right word.
I like A.J. Brown. I like Jalen Hurts. I like Jason Kelce.
Yes.
I think Miles Sanders is a little bit too much.
But you get where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Humbled wasn't the right word, but not take anything for granted.
And my least favorite player in the league is on the Eagles. Like, Darius Slay is my least favorite. Like, I think...
Not a big Slay fan.
The worst corners in the league are... he's a corner, right? The worst corners in the league, I think, in terms of, like... just a fool is Darius Slay and Eli Apple. Eli Apple is the most talkative person in the league and gets blown up on every single play. Like, I hate that guy.
All right. Well, we talked enough about Philly defense. I have a question for you. I want to hear your take. I'm going to run you through some stats. 49ers quarterback situation. Starting off with Brock Purdy. I know we talked about he got hurt yesterday. So let me run you through the 3 guys, Nico, that they had play quarterback this year. I'm going to give you some numbers. And then at the end, I want to hear what you think they should do moving forward at the quarterback situation. So you had Brock Purdy this year. He goes 8-1. He was the last overall draft pick, Mr. Irrelevant, 7th rounder. He goes 8-1 as a 49ers quarterback this year. Hadn't lost a game until yesterday. He's on a 4-year, $3.7 million contract. Very cheap, probably the lowest paid quarterback starting quarterback in the league.
Well,
he goes,
that's that last pick.
The last pick money. He goes for 1,300 yards, 13 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. We got Trey Lance now. Trey Lance was the very hyped 2021 third overall pick. He's on so listen to the money difference here. The third overall pick, he's on a 4-year, $34 million deal. 4-year, $34 million. He was a 2021 third overall pick. He only played in 2 games this year before suffering a season-ending injury. And what we saw of Trey Lance wasn't great. Lost to the Bears in the season opener. In 2 games, he had a 46% completion percentage and threw a pick, no passing touchdowns. And then guy number 3, who's a free agent, Jimmy Garoppolo, Jimmy G. He went 8-3 as the 49ers quarterback this year before getting injured. 16 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 2,400 yards, and a 67% completion percentage. So stats are pretty similar to Brock Purdy, maybe a little bit better, but that's a guy who's been in the system for a couple of years, been to a Super Bowl, been to an NFC championship twice. Do they stick with one of these guys or they go searching somewhere else?
I think the problem here is especially this Niners team and the Niners teams of the past like 6 years. They are great teams, all around great teams. Like Kyle Shanahan and that front office puts together a great team, and they put together mostly rushing offense. But I think that the one thing that's separating them from that Super Bowl is a quarterback that could do something.
Yep.
Because Jimmy G, he's a decent quarterback.
Reliable.
Reliable.
That's how I would. In one word, I would call Jimmy G reliable.
You look at these teams that have been, even say, this round, you have Joe Burrow, you have Patrick Mahomes, you have Jalen Hurts, you got Josh Allen, Daniel Jones. But
I agree. No, I agree. Those are all guys who can take over a game.
I don't think that Jimmy Garoppolo's that guy. I don't think Brock Purdy's that guy. I don't even know if Trey Lance is that guy.
We don't know yet about Trey Lance.
We don't. That's the same thing about Jordan Love. We've seen them play like once or twice, Excuse me.
Bless you. Bless you.
Excuse me. I don't know. I think that what they do in this offseason is going to depict whether or not they could take this team somewhere, because they have a fantastic
It's hard to argue though with, you're paying Trey Lance all this money. You gotta give him a shot.
I can
what
tell
we
you something.
saw, Nico, was not great.
I don't think you go with Brock Purdy next season. I think Brock Purdy is a career backup at best. If you look at him, the throws are not great.
He gets the job done, and I would describe him again as reliable.
He gets the job done, but then again, I don't think you see what happens when that kind of person comes under stress. When that pocket closes, he does not move in the right way. He's going back. He's playing like a college quarterback, dropping, kind of doing like a Johnny Manziel, where he just backs up and just circles around 5 times. He's not doing what these proficient quarterbacks do, and that's why I think that's the problem. I don't think his passes are accurate and strong. I don't see him as a great quarterback. I don't think he makes any money, and I don't think he starts anywhere. I think they either go with Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance, like they did at the start.
But the intriguing thing about me is always quarterbacks that win games. They're doing something right if they're winning games. Down the stretch, he was winning games.
I think this showed a lot yesterday. Yesterday showed a lot. He got his elbow hurt, and he knew that the next person up was Josh Johnson, who's played for 15 teams. And after the first 2 drives where this guy fumbled the ball already and was getting absolutely cracked and wasn't able to throw, you got to come back in. And the only time he comes back in is when
injuries are weird. I don't know.
When Josh Johnson got the concussion and left the game again. Yeah. He came back in and they ran the ball every single play.
So you're out on Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
Out on Jimmy G.
I think the Mr. Irrelevant story, the Cinderella story, was beautiful. It's over.
Okay.
It's over.
Fair enough. That's a good take. It's hard to argue.
There's a reason why a Mr. Irrelevant or a last pick in the draft doesn't do this.
It's hard to argue with you, because even if there was something I wanted to say to support Brock Purdy, the numbers are good. But what does this guy do that separates himself, that gets you to that next level? I don't see it.
The numbers are great, but that's a product of having, you're talking about a team that has the probably top 3 running back in the league in Christian McCaffrey, a top 10, top 5 wide receiver. Like Deebo Samuel is
George Kittle. We're not even mentioning.
George Kittle is the second best tight end behind Travis Kelce. I think that Deebo Samuel is the best wide receiver with yards after the catch. Yards after the catch and yards after, like, his yak is insane.
So good.
Like, because he's just a tank and he just runs, and like it's incredible. And even Brandon Ayuk, and I just think that team around him, it definitely helped the situation. If you don't have those key parts, I don't think he does anything.
Yeah, no. So I'll be interested to see. I never really was a big Trey Lance fan. I thought, the hype at him, but he played at North Dakota State. They're not an FBS school. They're BCS, right? Yeah. So he never played against great competition. They groomed him behind Jimmy G, but then
I think they go. I wouldn't be, if I'm being completely honest here, I wouldn't be surprised if that number one spot is getting moved in the draft
by the Bears, right?
The Bears are not taking a quarterback there. Justin Fields is their guy. They're going to move back, right? They're going to get picks out of it. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a Niners come in there.
Yeah.
A Niners, a Panthers.
Houston, I know, wants that number one spot.
Houston
back.
has two. Houston has two. I think they're okay with getting two just because you could take either or. You could take Bryce Young, you could take Stroud, you could take either or in that spot, and you'll be okay with it.
Yeah. But if there's a guy that they really like more, maybe they really like the Bryce Young film.
Yeah, but I don't think you would move 2-1.
Okay. All right.
But I do see a team coming out getting in there. Like, I could see a Niners coming out and, going for that number one. You could see a huge move go on, and they move up to number one, go for a quarterback. Imagine Bryce Young in a Niners uniform.
That'd be something. You know what? One thing that I have to say, and then we'll move on to the Chiefs Bengals game. I think Kyle Shanahan a little stubborn.
100%.
A little stubborn as a coach.
100%. He doesn't move.
I think we're going to see Trey Lance go out there starting next year.
He doesn't move. He doesn't let go of things like you're saying, like about the Trey Lance thing. But he's also stubborn in his play calling, because if the run's not working, they don't care. They'll run. They'll still run even if it's not working, because that's their game plan.
Yeah.
And I think that's a bad call.
All right, moving on. Chiefs beat the Bengals 23-20. A crazy kind of game down the stretch. I know we disagreed on that penalty at the very end. There were some injuries, crazy stuff going on. You want to run us through this one, Nico? Your immediate reactions, thoughts on the game?
I mean, hey, shout out to Burrowhead. That's all. Shout out to Burrowhead. That's what happens. And everyone, people I talk to, people talk who I talk to often know I hate cockiness in players, because you're cocky before a game. Be cocky after the game. You're cocky before the game, and then you show up like that. That's a disappointment. Eli Apple showed up and got completely torched after talking all that heat on Stephon Diggs last week.
I was expecting this game to be like a 31-28 type deal.
Blowout.
Both defenses showed up. Both defenses. The first half was field goal.
Yeah.
Wasn't until the second quarter that Mahomes got on the board with a touchdown to Kelsey.
And this is what I think is incredible about this game, is because you see Patrick Mahomes beat Joe Burrow for the first time. Like, and that's crazy to think of that, because everyone, like, Patrick Mahomes beats everyone.
Yeah.
25 for 20. He's won 25 of his last 28 games.
And this is phenomenal too.
The last 3 games that he's lost has been against Burrow.
He tied Tom Brady for most playoff wins through first 6 years in the league.
How incredible is that? He's
to be mentioned in the same category Tom Brady.
He's 27. If he wins the Super Bowl, like, that's 2 Super Bowls, 27.
That's phenomenal, yeah.
And he didn't even start for his first 2 years.
1 year. 1 year he sat behind Alex.
I thought it was the second year.
No, 1 year.
Okay, so 1 year. So, and I think that's incredible. We'll start off at the beginning of the game. I mean, Mahomes, obviously everyone was nervous about coming off his right. He has a right high ankle sprain. He was seen wobbling, then he was seen all right, giving him shots before the game and stuff like that. I mean, if I told someone to sit down next to me and watch the game, you think they would have any idea? Besides the camera showing
a couple times, they showed him limping.
Besides the camera showing him limping, obviously, but in his play, if you watch highlights in his play,
no, he played phenomenal.
The guy's throwing off his right ankle, like he's jumping, landing on his right ankle, and slinging the ball 30 yards. He's incredible. Like, he just has some type of different. Like, that's the thing that everyone's kind of looking for, but no one's gonna get, because I think he's one of.
You had Kadarius Toney go down for the Chiefs. Juju had an injury, and Hardman, and they still find a way to move the ball.
And that's only on the offensive side. Like, you see the Chiefs, they also lost, like Jarius Sneed.
He's cornerback 1 for them, right?
Yeah, 100% quarterback 1, and even their linebacker 1, like Willie Gray, like he.
Yeah. But
Willie
credit
Gay,
is due to this Chiefs defense.
That's
Steve Spagnuolo, baby.
Yeah, like that's cornerback 1 and that's linebacker 1 on defense, and they still kind of showed up and really shut down that Bengals offense. That is great. They shut down Ja'Marr Chase, which is incredible to me. But
yeah, T. Higgins was the leading receiver for the Bengals. He had a good game. He's a guy to keep an eye on in the future moving forward. I really like T. Higgins. That tall, long, goes up. He had a couple big catches.
That team is so talented in that every way. But let me get to so I think that obviously the multiple injuries on offense, and really what I realized is like both these teams didn't, whether it was injury or not, it just wasn't working. I think both these teams had an aspect of their normal game plan that wasn't working, right?
Definitely. Yeah, I felt the same way.
Like the Chiefs were really down on, obviously they still have Travis Kelce, which is incredible, but he was barely targeted too. That, you know, their throwing game was kind of rough, and it was kind of just dump offs most of the time. And I think on the Bengals side, like they had no run game. Like
it was
Joe Burrow led the team in rushing yards with like 30. Yeah, 30 yards, 4 carries, 30 yards for Joe Burrow. That led the team. I mean, you have
the Bengals, Nico, it seems are like one area away from becoming that perennial Super Bowl contender.
But Joe Mixon,
and it's the O-line.
Yeah, 100%. Joe Mixon had 19 yards. Samaje Perine had 22.
Yeah, they couldn't get anything going.
There was like 6 sacks on the game coming from the Chiefs defense. That O-line is really a down. Like it's real. Like if they have that, they're completely different.
And the whole year we've been hearing Chiefs, Mahomes, all these yards. He led the league in passing yards, passing touchdowns. Mahomes. Their defense showed up. Yeah. I know we talked about it last semester. We're big Steve Spagnuolo guys. He used to run the Giants defense when they won that Super Bowl. He's a great defensive coordinator. He got really rallied his guys. They played phenomenal.
You want to talk about like the Chiefs team? Like
they're gonna need that.
Like we're gonna talk about Pro Bowlers in the next segment, but you know they have. I understand obviously Aaron Donald, all that stuff like that. Right now in the league, right, they have the number 1 defensive player. Chris Jones is an absolute animal. Like he cannot be stopped. You see him breaking up that entire offensive line. Like he was bodying them. He had 2 sacks, 3 solo tackles, and a couple other stats I didn't get to write down. But
yeah,
and obviously all pro first team, Pro Bowler. I mean,
I know we said we weren't going to talk too much Super Bowl, but I mean, the Chiefs are going to need that defense to show up like this against the Eagles,
and they're going to need those players healthy.
Yeah,
they're going to need Mahomes.
Well, they have the week off now, and
anyways, we'll talk about that after this. This is what changed the game for me. You go throughout the game, it's very even. It's back and forth. It's 20-20. You're the Bengals. You got the ball on your own 30-yard line, right? It's a 3rd and 4, 7 minutes left in the 4th. This is why I think Burrow would never be better than Mahomes. You got a 3rd and 4. You got all right. Your O-line hasn't been giving you coverage, and at this moment they were. I watched the replay. They were giving all right coverage to him, and he kind of just, Burrow kind of just chucks the ball like 60 yards downfield for an interception. 7 minutes left.
Right? It was tipped, right?
It was tipped, but that's not the point. It's double coverage. But you have a safety in a corner on your wide receiver, and you're throwing at 60 yards. You need 4 yards. You got 7 minutes left. You got to run this clock down, get this ball back. They end up getting the ball back because the defense stepped up. But I think that's a decision that you shouldn't make.
They had to punt it back, right?
Yeah.
And there was a good return on the punt.
Yeah.
Then the penalty.
Yeah, it went back and forth after that. But what I'm saying is, like, you threw away that ball. That's a bad decision that you can't let up.
Yeah, unlike Joe Burrow, 2 interceptions in a playoff game, something we haven't seen from the kid so far. Tough loss, tough way to go out for the Bengals. But, man, these Chiefs and Mahomes, when you got Mahomes at quarterback, anything's possible.
Yeah, and something I also noticed that I think a lot of people, like, it's kind of like my, like, kind of deep take, or, like, something I noticed that I thought was interesting. The Chiefs aren't really known for their run game, but Isaiah Pacheco is one of the most, I'm not saying he's shifty. I'm not saying but he runs, like, wow.
Runs with so much passion,
he's
so much fire.
He's such a little guy, but he's running with so much power, and, like, he's breaking tackles. I think I wrote it down. He has, like, I saw it. He has, like, 530 yards this season after contact, which is insane.
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
And he only had, like, I think 26 yards on the ground, but he also had 60 yards receiving. So
he's very versatile. And, coming into the year, it was Clyde Edwards-Helaire, question mark.
Yeah.
Didn't know who Pacheco was. He comes in. He's a rookie, right?
Yeah.
Comes in. Great job. He takes advantage of every opportunity he gets with the ball. Love what I see from that guy. The Chiefs are going to need him against the Eagles as well. You can't put this all on Mahomes.
I think
to beat the Eagles, you got to be perfect in every aspect of your game.
I think this Pro Bowl week is going to be a game changer for both these teams, because if you're the Chiefs and you sustain this Pro Bowl week and they all get healthy, that's going to be a problem, because when they're all healthy, you have Juju, you have Mecole, you have like
the 2 number 1 seeds, right?
Yeah,
damn,
2 number 1 seeds both had the bye, and I think if you get both healthy teams, and the Eagles are healthy, but you get Mahomes and Chiefs coming in healthy, I don't see a way the Eagles can beat that team, especially with Mahomes. Because Hurts ain't Mahomes.
He's not. But the pieces he has around him
are better
than what Mahomes has around him. I know 100%. We talked Travis Kelce, but oh my goodness, that O-line for Philly, Nico, I can't get over. Every push, they win. Every time they're driving that D-line back. Dude.
We'll get into this next week, but this will be. And I see a lot of people on Twitter saying that it's not going to be an exciting game, and I cannot disagree more.
Yeah, that's a terrible take. This game is going to be good.
This game's going to be crazy. It might be one of the best 2 team Super Bowls.
Like I said, I know I'm not an Eagles fan, but last time they pulled up to the Super Bowl against Tom Brady, that was a phenomenal game. You had Nick Foles, the Philly special. Oh my God, that was a phenomenal game.
They had Nick Foles, and this is completely different because they have a stacked team. Their team is stacked. The Chiefs are stacked.
You know what's cool too that we haven't even touched upon? Andy Reid used to coach the Eagles, brought them to a Super Bowl, all that stuff.
And it's the Kelce Bowl.
Andy Reid, though, I saw a stat today. I was turning on ESPN. Andy Reid is 3-0 against the Eagles since taking over in Kansas City.
Wow.
So I think it's going to be good, dude. It's going to be good.
I think that you got the Kelce Bowl, first time 2 brothers play each other in a Super Bowl in history.
Is that really?
First time ever. And
wow.
Obviously they're not one's really good, one's really bad, or
they're both
bad.
Phenomenal.
They're both probably the best players on each team besides obviously Mahomes. But
they're probably both the best at their respective positions
in the league. 100%.
Yeah, that's
phenomenal. Jason Kelce is the best center, and Travis Kelce is the best tight end.
Oh my goodness! So you think the mom's gonna pull up with the double jersey?
He tweeted out something today.
What do you do?
I can't wait to see the episode.
Oh my
their
goodness!
Podcast episode they post this week, but
yeah, dude, that's gonna be crazy.
I think that we're gonna talk about this and if this game lives up to its potential, which sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it'll be a boring game. It'll be 3-5.
Oh my God. I think back to that one year, Nico, when the Seahawks pulled up with the Legion of Boom and just absolutely humiliated Peyton Manning. Remember, it was 40 something.
You know what I think of when I think of Super Bowls that I'm so excited for is when we had that, what was it, 3 years ago? And it was with the Niners. It was 5. Where it was they had 30 points or something like that.
The Niners Chiefs Super Bowl was good. The Niners were winning, and then the Chiefs came back. If you're thinking about bad Super Bowls, Carolina had a really poor showing with Cam Newton when they pulled up to the Super Bowl. That was about 10 years ago now.
No, I don't. Maybe I'm thinking about something else. Hold on.
All right, we'll move on to some Pro Bowl stuff.
I'll get.
Yeah. If you think of it.
Yeah, I'm trying to look. What were the past 5 Super Bowls?
You know what was a bad Super Bowl? The Rams versus Patriots.
10-3 with Jared
Goff.
10-3.
Oh my God, that was so boring. Me and all my friends, we bought a big pizza. We were hanging out in my freshman year of school. Oh my God, that game was so boring, dude. And then all the Patriots fans, we went. Oh my God, that game was awful.
I'm sorry. I really
that game was awful.
Yeah, that game was terrible. I really hope it's nothing like this. I'm very excited for this game. You have the most stacked team on both sides.
Yeah,
ever.
It's gonna be good.
The Eagles are pretty insane. But if Patrick Mahomes is able to beat that team and just put on a performance,
oh my God, he's goated.
You'll talk about that forever.
Next week we're gonna come in, ladies and gentlemen. We got one listener left, but I know we had some people commenting. We got Max saying Shanahan too smart. So boys, next week we'll do a full Super Bowl breakdown by position group. I mean, we'll really dig into it. We'll get into it. The last thing we wanted to talk about today is the Pro Bowl. Nico, any thoughts? Are you going to be watching the NHL All-Star game instead?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I think I am. We'll talk about the Giants Pro Bowlers, obviously, because we care. But, you got Saquon, 1,300 yards.
Yeah, he deserves it, man.
210.
Comeback player of the year, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would be really excited. He rushed for the most and had most attempts in his career. He had 10 touchdowns, 338 yards receiving.
Which was lower than I would have thought. I would have said he would have been around 500, 600.
He didn't have any receiving touchdowns this year.
He really wasn't used that much as a pass catcher.
Because if you're looking at that 2-point conversion, it doesn't count as one. That would be the only one I could think of.
But that's not a touchdown.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's the only throw that he's gotten to the end zone.
Yeah, that's because, when you think of Saquon, you think of that rookie year. He was amazing catching passes. This year, the offense was not designed for him like that. But Daniel Jones thrived. Jones thrived down the stretch, especially.
I mean, it's not it kind of fluctuated throughout the season, but his yards per attempt,
well deserved for him though.
4.5 yards per attempt. He had 5.5 at one point
behind a relatively weak interior offensive line. I like Andrew Thomas.
530 yards after contact.
Besides from Andrew Thomas, no one from that offensive line really. I hope we'll develop Evan Neal. He had some ups and downs, but
yeah, that's what we're gonna.
Saquon, well deserved.
I think we should talk about that probably like the week after the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Or maybe there's 2 weeks after the Super Bowl, because the week after the Super Bowl we'll talk about the Super Bowl.
Week after Super Bowl. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we don't have school that day either, so I don't know if we'll be here. That's President's Day.
So the week after.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll do the week after, but Saquon in the playoffs, 114 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 very big touchdowns, 6.5 yards per rush. It's just a phenomenal year for him. Well deserved.
What a bounce back too. I mean, injuries. Yeah. He comes back this year on a contract year. I hope we pay him. I hope he sticks around. But I think we're a little far off right now in negotiations.
Yeah,
we'll
wait. We'll see what happens, and then obviously second Pro Bowler for the Giants. We have Dexter Lawrence.
Well deserved.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he has career year. 68 tackles, 28 QB hits, 8 sacks, 3 blocked throws, 2 forced fumbles, and he made the all pro team. So
second
all pro team. Behind which we could talk about for the next 5 minutes. I would like to.
Yeah, get into it, Nico.
Chris Jones, you had some hot takes, dude. Yeah. Chris Jones, well deserved over him.
I just have one question about how the all pro selection works. So it's one player per position, and that's combining both conferences, right? It's like
it's based on the way, like, not per position. Obviously, you have 2 defensive linemen, so like that would count for 2. You know what I mean?
Okay.
3 wide receivers.
Gotcha.
2 corners and stuff like that. So, and it's combined.
So like if you were to throw like an 11-11 team out there, your best player at that position, but it's 11 players, not just 1 D tackle, 1 cornerback.
Yeah. It's how it is on the field.
Gotcha.
And it's voted by the players this year instead of like the committees.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really cool.
So, Chris Jones, all pro defensive lineman, absolutely deserved. He's the best one in the league. Also all pro, who and I'm not saying it because he's a Jet, Quentin Williams, I do not think he deserved it. I think Dexter deserved it more.
Okay.
Just because if you look at their stats, they both have 28 QB hits. Dexter Lawrence has 68 tackles. Quentin Williams has 50 tackles. So it's almost 18 more.
Oh my god, yeah, that's a big difference tackles for those big guys too. That's
Dexter Lawrence has 8 sacks. He has 12.
They're not like linebackers where 18 tackles is that? No, like for a defensive tackle, that's a lot more. That's more of an impact.
Some of those are tackles for loss too, which also is a big part of that position. He does have Quentin Williams has 3 more sacks, and I believe he has 3 more sacks, and I believe he has. I want to say 1 more.
Nico, you know what? I think people are gonna. 8 sacks is great, and 3 more is like quite a bit more for a defensive lineman. But I think people lose their mind over double-digit sacks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're forgetting this guy, Dexter Lawrence, had way more tackles. That's more of an impact consistently throughout the whole season. 3 more sacks is great.
He beat him in every category. He beat him in more solo tackles, more assist on tackles, and more tackles for loss. Wait.
Damn, so they're really just giving it to him for those sacks. That's crazy. I guess getting after the quarterback is a big deal.
Quinn Williams had 1 more tackle for loss, or 2 more tackles for loss, because Dexter had 10, he had 12.
Yeah, very close. Very close. Were these 2 guys, these were the same draft class? Were these guys same draft class, or was Quinn Williams the year before?
They were both 2019.
Yeah, so I mean, phenomenal year from Dexter Lawrence. We've been waiting to see this breakout. We've been waiting to see this from him. He was a first-round draft pick out of Clemson. Really excited to see what he's going to do. I hope we re-sign him and pay him too.
I mean, career-wise, That's incredible. Career-wise, we have, in combined tackles, I mean, Dexter Lawrence has Quentin Williams by a landslide. He has almost 250 more tackles than him.
Oh my God. And it's not like they've been in the league for 10 years. This is what are we talking about? 3-4 years? 4 years?
So Dexter Lawrence has 215 solo tackles and 108, and Quentin Williams has 118 solo, and combined it's like more, whatever it is, an assist.
Wow.
But QB hits,
and Quentin Williams was number QB 3
hits,
overall.
They're almost identical with QB hits in their career.
Okay. What about sacks?
Sacks, Dexter Lawrence has. Let's see, Dexter Lawrence has 16 sacks in his career.
Quentin
Williams has 25. That's a big stack.
Yeah, that's 9 more.
That's
9 more sacks.
Stack.
Okay.
Big stack.
All right, but no.
Stat.
Dexter Lawrence deserved that Pro Bowl.
Stack and stack.
I hope we pay him. I hope we get him back and we build that D line, because that was definitely one of my favorite part of the Giants to watch this year. And I think the D line is only going to get better. I mean, we got Azeez still on rookie contract.
Yeah.
Kayvon on rookie contract. Leonard Williams' contract is going to be a little bit of a problem for us. We got to see what's going to happen there. But if we can sort something out with Leonard Williams and be able to keep all those guys, man, this defensive line is going to be scary for years to come.
100%. I can't wait to get into all that after, like, just talking about the entire team and how we can improve, because I think we're gonna. I don't think this is a time where we wait around. Like, we improve here, and I'm really excited for that.
And then final thing I wanted to talk about, I wrote a little thing here. But like I joked with you about not watching the Pro Bowl. I'm most likely not going to watch it, Nico. I'm
going to watch the skills competition on Saturday or wherever it is. And then on Sunday, I'm pretty sure the NHL All-Star game.
So this year is going to be a little different, the Pro Bowl. The Manning brothers are taking over the production of it. They're going to try and revamp it, make it a little more exciting. They've officially taken out the tackle part of the game. So you guys who used to watch the Pro Bowl,
they don't tackle either way.
Exactly. So it's officially, though, been ruled as a flag football game. Some other exciting challenges I wrote down here. There's going to be dodgeball. A longest drive competition. They're gonna have the guys golfing out there, which I think is funny.
Really?
Have some of these big guys.
They're golfing?
Is the longest drive competition. So we've seen, like, we saw Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Aaron Rodgers play some golf.
Are these the ones on Saturday? Yeah, right?
I think so. Yeah.
I'm gonna watch that.
So we saw them play some golf, like the match stuff, which I think is funny, because like it kind of looks like they're better than me and they hit the ball farther than me.
100%.
But like it's still kind of funny to watch them sometimes rip one in the rough. Like Josh Allen could not find a fairway to save his life.
I didn't know they were doing longest.
But they're doing a longest drive. So they're gonna get these guys some brand new golf clubs. They're just gonna, hey bro, hit the ball as far as you can. And it's in Vegas. The ball flies in the desert. We're gonna see some Mondo drives.
I see they still have the passing competition.
Best catch. So yeah, I'll probably watch that on YouTube.
I think I'll probably tune into the flag football game for 3 minutes and then just shut it off.
Yeah, fair enough.
I really don't want to watch that.
And that's all I got for today.
And I'm telling you right now, this will be changed. Next year, this is going to be the same thing.
You don't think so?
No, they change it every year.
Yeah.
Every year they change it.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the direction it's gone.
No.
What's up?
So it looks like the NHL All-Star game is on Saturday.
I'd probably rather watch that
than the skills?
Probably. And I'm not even a big hockey guy, but I really have no interest in watching a bunch of grown men run around. I'm kind of angry.
I'm kind of protesting the All-Star game, even though 2 of my Islander players made it. Because the Rangers got 3, and it's just a popularity contest. It's just what it is. It's a popularity contest, and I really don't like it.
Fair enough.
Same with all All-Star games.
Yeah, I mean,
besides the NFL that made the players vote, sure.
All-Star games. I'll tune into the MLB one. I like the home run derby.
Tell me if this I want you to tell me if this makes sense. From an outsider who doesn't really watch hockey, each team got 1 player.
Automatically,
the team picked their 1 player. I'm pretty sure, like the league picked 1 player from each team, right?
Okay.
Then each division got 3 extra slots, and that could be you could pick 3 players from any team in that division, and the fans voted for those.
So there's a team round, a divisional round.
Yeah. So the division is just 3 positions: 2 skaters, 1 goalie from each division, right?
Okay.
So what happened was that every team got a player, right? Then the divisional round voting came, and it was 15 days, and you get to vote for it, right?
Players or fans?
Fans get to
vote on this.
Okay. I voted for it every single day because I'm a crazy fan. And
nice.
What it end up? There's 8 teams in a division.
Yep.
We're in the Metropolitan Division. Same with the Rangers and the Devils and stuff like that. it was 2 Rangers players
out of the 3 spots.
And 1 Islander player.
Okay.
So even though my goalie made it because of that, which we have 2 players. Very excited for that. Having that based off popularity is kind of crazy because there's a lot of players that did get snubbed. You know what I mean? Like the Rangers getting 2 players.
I remember a couple of years ago, my high school had a lot of big hockey fans, and our hockey team was kind of solid. I don't think we beat you guys, but everyone was raving about. There was that one random guy who the fans voted in, and then on top of that, it was like vote for your NHL MVP for the All-Star game, and then the fans voted him to win that too. And I was like, dude, this is getting kind of out of hand.
The fact that just because the Rangers obviously have one of the biggest fan bases,
definitely,
that leads them to become like in those 2 extra spots. And the same with the Islanders. Like we have a smaller one, but we still got our vote in.
Yeah.
And like that's 3 New York players snubbed from a bunch of teams. Like I think that's unfair.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I'm most likely not going to watch the Pro Bowl stuff. Next week we'll do an in-depth dive into the Super Bowl. I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
Really looking forward to this game, Nico. I think it's going to be a phenomenal game, but awesome first week back. I think we really got some hot takes.
What are we looking like? One person?
Your mom says maybe you should have been a Rangers fan then.
My mom said that?
And Tucci?
Oh, that's my girlfriend.
Oh.
Nice.
I don't think that was your mom.
I don't know, dude. That's embarrassing.
Sorry.
Because your mom, dude.
I'm sorry. All right.
Because I'm sorry.
I don't know why.
Your mom.
I'm sorry.
Is she the only one?
No. Max said before Shanahan is too smart. Nicole
he's
randomly just drops Jerick McKinnon.
She just texted me. She goes, I left the video.
I'm sorry.
You gotta answer. Next time you talk to her, you gotta answer to her.
I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm off today. It's the first day back on the show. Thanks for tuning in.
Is that it?
That's all we got for today.
Yeah, so we'll be back next week.
See you guys.
Sam.
Tell her I'm sorry. I don't know why.